The Bofors bribery scandal was one of India's biggest political controversy. It led to a political movement that brought down the Rajiv Gandhi government. And 4 decades later, the irony is we still don't know who received the bribes from the Swedish gun manufacturer. Well, today we have with us here Chitra Subramaniam, the investigative journalist who uncovered the Bofors bribery scandal. Chitra, welcome to News9.
Thank you.
So Chitra has a new book out on the subject. It is called Bofors Gate. It talks of a 10-year journey in uncovering the truth behind the Bofors bribery scandal. Chitra, 2027, it's going to be 4 decades after Bofors. We still don't know who received the bribes. What's the reason for this? Is it political apathy? Is it conspiracy? What is it really? Or is it a combination of all of this?
First, Sandeep, thank you for having me on your show. I think it's a bit of all of that. And this, who cares? There is that who cares attitude, which is not something that I am willing to accept. Because as an Indian, I need to know, and I'm sure all of us need to know, because we're not in the who cares political category. We have some idea of who got the money, the box is here. And the only, one of the tracks to pursue is to, get into them, find out what's going on. And the money trail, there is a money trail there. So, we need to get into the money trail. And like good investigative journalists, 4 decades or 5 decades or even 6 decades later, do the work.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you about that box.
Okay.
That box that was handed over by the Swiss authorities to the government of India in 1997.
Yes.
What's inside the box? Who has that box?
Well, the box was handed over to the Indian government after a bitter 10-year court battle. 1997, January. And we know for a fact that the Hindujas in Geneva fought a lot to keep the boxes coming out. So if you look at it, the first bribes went to Quattrochi, AE Services, it went to Zurich. Then we knew about Svenska. But if you look at what is in the boxes, all these are detailed. I was given, from Sten Lindström, what I was given, 350 documents. There are thousands more. I mean, remember I went into his office and he said, take. So I just took, but there's a lot more. So I took whatever I could. And mine were photocopies. So this was the basis of the Indian investigation. The LR from the CBI. So now these photocopies were then, the originals are there, but there's more. We're looking at like 5,000 pieces. I didn't have 5,000 pieces. So we need to figure out what is in those boxes. We have some idea because then subsequently we knew that there's more money. There's, someone is saying 18%. Someone is saying, no, maybe it's 12. I'm talking to arms dealers. They're saying maybe 12.5. So you can't have different, we need to know what's going on.
Absolutely. We need to know what's going on. And the fact that you mentioned this amount that was actually paid, we grew up hearing that it was 64 crores as kickbacks, but that you're suggesting is a very small figure.
Well, that is the amount, Sandeep, where when the story broke, that was the amount that had been paid. And that was when the government of India, remember they'd said that you can't have bribes in this. So then they manufactured a name called winding up charges.
Right.
Now there is nothing called winding up charges. I mean, you're in this defense field. There's nothing called winding up charges. People there, they laugh you out of the room. So they call them winding up charges to wind up all the existent contracts. But nobody has gone to get the extra money. The monies were paid. 64 crores is the amount that was paid when the Swedish radio story broke.
So the 64 crores you're saying is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it is the tip of the iceberg.
There's more money that is paid.
Yes. And there is more money in the sense we have no proof to say the money was not paid. What I do know for a fact is that there are accounts of more money is being transferred, independent of the 64 crores. That I know.
So the 64 crores was just a single digit percentage figure?
3%, no.
3%.
Remember they said the 3%, we've only paid 3%, so we'll stop it now. So they did some back calculations and said 64 crores. It's not 64 crores. Can you imagine 64 crores and the government falls for 64 crores? I mean, are you telling me this, Sandeep? No.
Your arms dealer contact you call Ka.
Ah.
Interesting name, Jungle Book character from the jungle of the arms trade.
Yes.
Tells you that it could actually be 10%.
Over 12%.
Over 12%.
When I told him, yeah, he laughed me out. He said, no, he said 12. And in that secret meeting on September 1987, when they all come down, no, they have this meeting with the, all these defense top dogs and the Bofors top dogs. They say that contractually they were bound to pay 18.5. So they kept quiet. You see, so we have different numbers.
And all of these secrets lie in that
the box.
In the box.
Yes.
Which
the
is in the custody of the CBI.
Yes.
There is another version that suggests that the CBI has already started opening the box and using the papers.
Yeah.
But why is it not led to anything so far?
But then the question is, did they open the box? And are you telling me that such a big story, Joginder Singh, who was the head of CBI, he came down. I was there in that meeting. It was very mediatic, a very mediatic event. He came down and then he did what? Went into a corner? No. We need to know what is in it. We need to figure out the nation. I mean, we, as you say, the country needs to know.
The nation needs to know.
The nation needs to know, and it's not just payments and payment slips. And there were instructions in those boxes. Who gave the instructions? Because we don't know who gave the instructions for the cover-up.
Who gave instructions for the cover.
Cover.
Now, in another part of your book, and I must compliment you on this book, it's a fascinating read, Chitra. It reads like a crime thriller, and the fact is that it all actually happened while we were here in India over the last 3 or 4 decades. There's a point where you quote George Fernandez,
yes,
who met you in the late 90s.
Yes, he was
and
defense
he tells
minister.
you that the Vajpayee government had been asked not to touch Sonia Gandhi or the Congress. Who told them this? And
well, I was told that he had been told by Rajesh Mishra.
Rajesh Mishra, who is the National Security Advisor,
Told George Fernandez. George Fernandez told me that he was told by Rajesh Mishra not to touch Sonia Gandhi.
in the Bofors case?
Yes,
or
in the
general?
Bofors case, because I said, why are you not opening the boxes? Now the box came in 1997, right? Feb or something, and I met George Fernandez much later. So what were you doing? And then there was also Mr. The lawyer, the very famous lawyer, Mr. Oh heavens, Jethmalani.
Right.
He was also very much into finding out what was the truth. Both of them just became quiet. So I asked Jethmalani as well. He was very close to the Hinduja, like what happened? But,
So it's a Pandora's box you're suggesting
Well-
that the CBI has with it.
yeah, but we should also go beyond the box and look at if a box can make such a big controversy. Can you imagine what the contents of it will make? So I think we should look at what really happened. And Sandeep, look at the destruction of human beings, the destruction of institutions, of processes, of people, of families. Everything was destroyed.
Absolutely. That's the larger point that your book makes. It is not
you're just
about governments,
destroying
it's
a
about
nation's
institutions.
credibility. Martin Adbo was one day, in fact, yesterday when I was coming in, I was sitting when the plane landed. I was thinking that Martin Adbo was here once, coming in, and he was flying between Delhi and London and Stockholm.
He
And
was practically staying in
here
India
in that
during
hotel.
as your book mentions.
And imagine getting the contract, going back to a hero's welcome. Everyone says blah blah, and then he gets awards and all that. The next minute he is in jail. He can't even leave Stockholm for his last wish to go to the archipelago. He's a sailor.
Right.
I mean, look at the destruction there.
There is another figure also in your book, a very tragic figure, tragic at that time because of the circumstances, Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah.
How did he come to be involved in the Bofors case?
I think it's a plant. Absolute plant.
Who planted it?
I mean, this is Sandeep, you got to also realize that for me, the reason I was not here, I mean, Kumi was telling me what was going on. There was no question of WhatsApps and all that. I mean, it was planted by the government of India.
But Amitabh Bachchan was very close to Rajiv Gandhi.
They were very close.
They were childhood friends.
They were very close, yeah.
He was the biggest Bollywood star, and you
At
had
that point.
At that point, you had Rajiv Gandhi, who was the most powerful politician. He had won a historic landslide mandate,
Yeah.
never been equal
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
400 plus seats. This friendship between the two, and Amitabh Bachchan becomes the fall guy. You're saying
The
for the
fall
entire
guy.
Bofors
Yeah, out of the blue.
controversy.
And Amitabh Bachchan को फंसाना है, you know. Amitabh का 6th account मिल गया, 6th account मिल गया.
This was coming from the government.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting in the car in the front. We arrived there. That was a mistake in my life. In hindsight, it was not a mistake. We went to Bern. I introduced everybody. And this is where I feel my ego got the better of my brain. You know, when VP Singh said, you go, and Mr. Ram also said, I said, "Chalo, I'll go and I'll get to see my husband as well." So I went, and then, of course, I was not in the meeting where this conversation was going on. And Sandeep, you know how these things happen, that you can even write Mickey Mouse. You can write your name, my name, but the Swiss will not say yes or no. We put all the names down. So I was sitting in the car on the way back in the front, and there were these three people at the back. There was Mr. Borelal, there was Mr. Jaitley, and Mr. Madhavan. Some khus-phus was going on. So I said, ek aur account mil gaya, 6th account mil gaya, 6th account. So, you know, and then of course I'm a journalist. I said, really? Can you imagine what it means? And they dropped me home. I am in between Geneva and Bern. Then I started making my phone calls. I called Sweden, I called my source, Snowman, everyone. No one says no. But next morning, all over, Kumi said, all over India. And the visit of the Indian investigative team was a very mediatic event.
Right.
You know, there were headlines that they're going to catch the thieves, and Mr. VP Singh had said he was going to catch them in 14 days or something like that. But the whole thing had become, you know, I felt that the sanctity of my work, that the purity of my work had been disturbed. And I bring that out in the book, saying, you know, there is something, you know this, that, you know, when you're working on a story and there is all this noise, and I learned about this, Sandeep, I learned that the method of working here is not the method of working that I had got used to there, that people don't talk loosely. You know, and then don't forget that you were talking to the highest officer of the Department of Police. Beyond, on top of him is the political level. So, and you are coming from the office of the CBI, you are the top, and you're coming from the Solicitor General's office. So you're a very senior office, and
Yes.
this is highly in the media. So when this team comes, they're all respectful, and then you disrespect your own office. And I want to make this point till I'm blue in the face, that, you know, institutions matter in a democracy.
Institutions matter.
Institutions matter in a democracy.
Now, when you're talking about Rajiv Gandhi, how is it that the Prime Minister of India gets associated with an arms bribery scandal? He is, of course, the Defence Minister who signs on the file in 1986. He approves the purchase.
Yeah.
How did Rajiv Gandhi, in a matter of just 2 years, have to issue statements like, neither me nor any of my family members are involved in this? How did it come to haunt him and touch him personally?
Because I don't think he knew at that point. And don't forget, if you lead the
Rajiv Gandhi didn't know who made money in the Bofors
Well, Rajiv Gandhi,
scandal.
no, Rajiv Gandhi had, see, this is the whole mystery. I think Rajiv Gandhi didn't realize the danger of making a statement like that. I mean, he had a more emotional thing, because I think he was talking to Olaf Palme, and there are conversations between him and Palme saying this is going to be a clean deal. But I think it had been set up by Arun Nehru. Arun Nehru was the eminence grise. He had set the whole thing up. Remember in the book I say he was saying, you should do this, don't come here, don't go there. So, you know, this might sound very strange to you, but I don't think he realized what was going on.
He didn't realize what was going on. You mean who was making money, or the impact
How he
of...
had been trapped, or he had fallen into a trap. Maybe trap is a heavy word, of how, why on earth would you go and say it? I mean, people have told me that had it been Mrs. Gandhi, his mother,
Yes.
she would have said, have an inquiry committee. But, he perhaps didn't have he was not quick-footed enough, to say,
He didn't
have
have
an
the
inquiry.
experience.
He didn't have experience. That's the right thing. He was not experienced in all this.
Right. And it's bizarre that two of the principal figures in this story die within just about 5 years of each other. Olof Palme is assassinated in 86. We still don't know who shot him. There is speculation about who did. They have done that recently, but Rajiv Gandhi is assassinated by the LTT just about 5 years later. Isn't it bizarre that two key figures in this controversy die within 5 years of each other?
You know, a friend of mine has another documentary out on Palme's assassination. It's called 7 Seconds. There were 2 bullets. In fact, maybe we can talk about it afterwards. But this whole world of arms dealers, drugs and all, it is a strange world. You don't know who is what. And I land right in the middle of this. It is a strange, scary world.
It's a strange, scary world, and you actually put yourself and your family at risk while exposing this very dark, strange world.
Yeah.
Tell us about the threats that were made to you and your family and how you coped up with it.
My husband told me, I was talking to him about a month ago. We were having a conversation. And I asked him, Carlo, were you ever scared? He had told me in Stanford that, you'll be somebody who'll go very far. He said, I never thought you would do anything like this. I mean, I didn't think either that I would. But he was telling me he was worried because I used to just toodle off to go and meet arms dealers. And he said he was worried because I used to go and meet one here, then meet one there. And, occasionally there were things on my doorstep. They were helpful. But then if the guys were helpful, the bad guys would also know where I stayed, right? And then I had, in the book I write about, I used to take a broom and go under my car and all that. And don't forget, this was almost 35 years. I was scared, but there was no time to be afraid.
Right.
There was no time to be afraid. And today, when my children do things, I am terrified. I mean, but I can't explain if I was scared. I was just running around saying, and somewhere in all this, Sandeep, I felt, I'm a patriot. I feel my country had been, I had to find out. I mean, it was not just Rajiv who was ambitious for India. I am ambitious as well. You are ambitious. We're all ambitious for this country.
Absolutely.
Why on earth, even today, why on earth can we not become a military power or a global power? And my job description is to, as journalists, we have to find out what's going on. Rajiv's job description was to buy a good gun to protect India, which he did, by the way. It was the best gun.
It was the best gun, and in fact, just a decade after this controversy broke out, you had the Kargil War, where the Bofors gun it literally won the war for us.
But look at the, I don't want to be nasty, but look at the nastiness of this secret meeting. They didn't invite General Sundarji. He was not there in that group. This was what they must tell the JPC. They did not invite people like General Sundarji, who had gone to see the field trials, who knew how much it cost. He had the entire A to Z of the gun. They didn't even invite people. They didn't trust each other. They did not trust each other. And Sten was telling me, nobody trusted anyone here.
So we've seen reports recently in the press which says that the government of India has sent legal requests to the United States for accounts related to the Bofors deal. What exactly
No
is
connection at all. I mean, this is the CBI's Rip Van Winkle moment, They suddenly wake up and then send someone to New York. Now, no, wherever, Washington. Now, Sandeep, wouldn't you send someone to Sweden? Go and sit down and talk to Mr. Sten Lindström. Nobody from India has spoken to him, not to date.
Sten Lindström is the
chief of police. Yes, he knows everything, and he's not. He's aging. Why don't you send someone to Sweden? Mr. Katre was there that time. He didn't meet him. Nobody met him. Isn't that suspicious? What are they scared of finding out?
So it's back to the Pandora's box again, that those secrets could well be in that box, as you mentioned, and that was the result of all your hard work that the government of Switzerland modified It's laws to allow that box
Yes,
to be brought here
they
to India.
actually plug loopholes. It's almost jurisprudence. They plug loopholes in their own laws. So now you cannot waste time at various levels of the court. If the Supreme Court says yes, you have to agree. So, their laws have been modified. And look at where we are.
Look at where we are nearly 4 decades later, after one of the greatest stories ever broken by any journalist. We still don't know the recipient of those bribes. We know for a fact that the bribes were paid, money was made, we got a very good gun, but we still don't know the identity of the payees who received the money. Do you think it's too late for us to find out, or it's still there? People know who it is, the powers that be have the information, it's only a matter of...
I don't believe anything is too late. No, why should it be too late unless you don't want to? As a journalist, you know this, giving up hope is the last thing you should do. I don't believe it's too late. And I really find it very mysterious that, you've sent off a team to meet Mr. Hirschman or somebody. It has nothing to do with Bofors.
So the secrets to the recipients of the Bofors bribes, those secrets are in India, they are in Switzerland, and in Sweden. These 3 countries. And you're saying that all it takes is for the political will to go after the recipients. And it's not too late, of course. As a journalist, we would never say it's too late. There have been cases, stories that have been broken 60 and 70 years after that. And we are only at, 4 decades after one of the greatest stories ever broken in the Indian media. But we live in hope, Chitra, and hopefully you would be the journalist to bring that story out as well. The final act of the Bofors drama.
You know what I would like, Sandeep? I would like a younger generation to do it. Because a lot of what I would mentor people, teach them a bit, see this is, people are asking me, I say, do this. I mean, I've done my bit. You kids do your bit now, Let's work together.
Is that on your mind?
Yeah.
That you would actually start this journalists collective to take this story forward?
Let's do it.
So, let's do it
Actually.
indeed. And you believe there will be a sequel to your book? There would be an updated version when the identity of the payees is known?
Yeah, let the next generation do it. No, I mean, I've done my bit. So I just think that one should be able to, as a journalist, one should be able to also promote others. Mentor people, go out and make your name, go out and work. Come on, guys, go and do it. It can be done. If I could do it with nothing, with a phone, look at all that you can do today, right?
Absolutely.
And I would be the first one to be encouraging this team.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, Chitra Subramaniam. Wish you all the very best. And you should be the person to find out who finally made that money as well. We'll be watching it very carefully.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you.